All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of the Irrational Confidence Podcast. We're talking NFL football, and it's the AFC NFC Championship game weekend. We're finally deciding who's heading off to the Super Bowl, who's going to be participating all the way out there in Las Vegas. But my co-host, the man who Jason Kelsey learned to take his shirt off like, my co-host Fresh. Fresh, how you doing, buddy?
Probably the same looking like chest, but I don't have the jumping ability like he does. The way he jumped in and out of that box there in Buffalo, that was pretty impressive athletic skill.
I give him maybe about also 100 more pounds of muscle mass too.
Oh, well, easy 100 more pounds, yeah.
So, all right, Fresh. It's the weekend where we start deciding who's going to go off to the Super Bowl. Let's start with the first game right off jump. This one's going to be played on Sunday at 3 o'clock. This game is going to be in Baltimore. The Kansas City Chiefs going on the road last week to Buffalo, winning a big game over there in the snowy conditions out there, very cold. They got to travel again on the road. They're going to Baltimore to face the Ravens. They dispatched the Texans real easily. At time of record, the Ravens are a 3.5 point favorite. Over under is set at 44.5. Fresh, it's not going to be as cold there this go around. How do you see Kansas City and Baltimore going down?
Well, I mean, I think it's amazing where you have one of the greatest quarterbacks of our current age right now, Patrick Mahomes. You know, won MVPs, all that fun stuff, taking on who I believe will be the MVP this year in Lamar Jackson. The first ever AFC Championship game in Baltimore. I know as Cleveland fans are still kind of bittersweet. It's their success they're having and kind of this pain to deal with. But what they have done there in Baltimore, they've built that up, and this team just continues to just recycle, recharge, and reload, and keep themselves in the playoff conversation. And what they've built as an organization, top to bottom, truly has become evident. And their investment in Lamar Jackson is starting to really pay off. Before I really dive into the game, there's something really cool also about this upcoming matchup. There are 3 teams in the Super Bowl era that have averaged 25-plus points a game, led the NFL in rushing offense, and led the NFL in scoring defense. The first one was the 72 Dolphins. The next one was the 85 Bears. And then this year's Baltimore Ravens. The previous 2 combined for 1 loss and 2 Super Bowls. That's just a very lofty air, and it's quite the feat when you start thinking of it. They run the ball, they play amazing defense, and they score points at will. And this Baltimore Ravens team, they've done it differently. Those previous 2, they have big-time running backs, and they fed the ball to the running backs and play great defense. This year, Lamar Jackson is that running back number 1, and they've been rotating guys in behind them to sort of fill in that 2 and 3 role and churn out the yards on the ground. Right now, we're going to see, a group of backs, but Dalvin, Cook's going to get his chance to really showcase himself and what kind of energy he has left in the backfield to help the Ravens on Sunday. Looking at the Chiefs start off with, last week, we finally saw the Chiefs offense kind of look normal, productive, competent. MVS actually catching the football on multiple occasions, Kelsey catching a couple of touchdowns. It caught everybody off guard. You'd think that Buffalo would have shown up and played some defense and locked that down. That team found themselves. They went back to last year's squad and were able to put points on the board. You look maybe out of swagger. Maybe going on the road was the right kick in the butt that this team needed all year to put them in some adversity. They showed up and they took care of business against Buffalo defense. Granted, that Buffalo defense dealt with a lot of injuries this year. Linebacker, so obviously left up some matchup situations for Kelsey in those mid-range receiving and not be able to really put the full weight of that defense against Pacheco. But lo and behold, they still took care of business when everyone kind of doubted them, and they came away with the win. This week, they're going to be facing a much better defense and a much healthier defense. You obviously have Patrick Queen, Roquan Smith at inside linebacker, both sides. The 2 of them are absolute studs. Kyle Hamilton going to get a lot of time covering Kelsey there in the slot. Humphrey at corner, a host of defensive linemen. This Ravens defense, year over year, doesn't matter if it's, the Ray Lewis teams back in the day rotating through, they just find dudes who can play football. And they're going to come into this ballgame with everything, in front of them to take advantage of. They've shut down multiple teams, including the Lions, the 49ers this year, the Dolphins as well. This challenge is another one of them in their line. How do the Chiefs attack this defense? This defense has been able to take care of business left and right, whether it's, how do you protect Patrick Mahomes? How do you able to establish a running in? Because all those other teams we just named that they've destroyed, They're run heavy. The Dolphins run the ball a lot. The 49ers run the ball a lot. The Lions run the ball a lot. All three of them had their running game taken away. What makes the Chiefs go this year is Pacheco. If Pacheco's not hunting and he's not getting churning out yards, where's Mahomes going to go through play action? It's not going to exist. Hamilton's going to be covering Kelsey. So we're going to have to rely on Rice, MVS, etc. Which of these receivers is going to get some separation and make plays? The offensive line, how are they going to hold up against a pass rush? Jawan Taylor's good for another 3 to 4 false starts in this ball game. How do they keep themselves within the down and distance and get something out of a running game and be able to get the passing game going? They're going to have to throw a lot on this Ravens defense to win. Where's this Mahomes magic going to come from? And where's the team going to step up and defend their Super Bowl championship, their AFC title last year, and really put themselves out here and play their best game? It's very tough to see. It's going to really take a very fine-tooth comb effort from the Chiefs, executing on every single level to really dominate and get after this Ravens defense. Defensively, the Chiefs defense is going to have to be 100% on point and play their best game. Josh Allen, that Bills team, they still put some points up. You're playing a much more lethal Ravens offense this week. How do you dominate? I got a feeling Mark Andrews will be back. So now you have the tight end who's probably not going to get full accompaniment of snaps, but he's definitely going to be involved in that offense. Zay Flowers, OBJ, and Lamar just doing his thing with the host of running backs. And Todd Monken has really changed his offense and his play calling has given them some more freedom. How does this Chiefs defense corral Lamar and the Ravens? Where's Chris Jones going to be? Are they going to line up at nose? Are they going to put him at end? How are they going to manipulate the linebacker situation? Are they going to, putting a spy on Lamar? Where is this going to come from? How is this defense going to really change the kind of course they did last week versus Buffalo and become after a much more athletic and speedy quarterback in Lamar with more competent receivers? I'm saying it right now. Stephon Diggs was not a competent receiver this year. He's not himself. The other guys, Sharif, Gabe Davis was banged up, didn't obviously play. They had, two tight ends working out there, but they weren't the same offense in Buffalo they are in Baltimore right now. How does this defense take that effort and change it this week and sort of show up? They're going to have to blitz a lot. I think you got to put pressure on Lamar, contain him, do not let him escape the pocket, force him to try to beat you, and do not let them establish the running game. If they establish a running game, then play action comes into play, then bootlegs, anything off of that becomes a really big factor. You've got to get after him, force him into quick situations. Do not give him a chance to really read the defense and break down the defense and take off. Obviously, the Chiefs' defense is veteran loaded, but how do they show up this week? Jarius Sneed, are you going to be following Flowers? Are you going to be taking OBJ? Who are you going to lock down and let the rest of that Chiefs defense sort of dominate? It's going to be very, very critical for them to limit Baltimore to 20 points or less because Baltimore gets going early. It's going to be good night at the ring, and they're going to blow the trash out of them like they've done everybody else. This is going to have to be a perfect game from the Chiefs from a coaching perspective and a player's perspective. They've been able to sort of get by. They didn't play exactly perfect versus Buffalo, but if they play like that early on versus the Ravens will steamroll them like they have everybody else. They force turnovers left and right, and they dominate with the pass rush, and that's how they get it done. Looking at the Ravens, don't let the moment be too big. You have dominated everybody else. You've taken care of big matchups, and you've won them at home. You've won them on the road. Come into this ballgame with your focus in of this is just another football game. Let your defense go out there, tackle at the point of contact. Do not let Pacheco get going. Do not let that play action get going. And defensively, keep those turnovers coming. Keep attacking the Chiefs. Do not let Mahomes get comfortable because Mahomes can do it. We've seen it many, many times where somehow he just starts running around and making things happen, even on like a 1.5 leg sometimes, and somehow they win the ballgame. Do not give the Chiefs any life because late in the ballgame, if they're hanging around, you might be sorry. You've got to come after it early and shut it down and make them one-dimensional. Put the faith that Chiefs back-to-back Super Bowl run in the hands of an MVS, in the hands of a Rashee Rice, in the hands of a Kadarius Toney who may or may not even play. Put in the receivers guys to step up. Do not let Pacheco and Kelsey beat you. The rest of those guys put the pressure on them. They might choke because they have in the past. Challenge them. Hit them at the line of scrimmage. Be physical with them. Let the Chiefs know that you're there and that the Chiefs know they're not comfortable playing this football game. Offensively, Lamar, do your thing, son. Maintain the football. Don't turn over. Do not let the moment get too big. Be calm. If it's not there, use your athletic ability. You're an MVP caliber player. You have a chance to really do something special. Be within yourself. Do not let the moment get too big. If you let the moment get too big, the veteran Chiefs football team will eventually have some steam and be able to survive. Attack. Take your shots. This Chiefs defense is very good. Do not underestimate them. You don't have to get everything in one play. Manage your down and distance. When you have a chance, take a shot, but do not live and die by the deep ball. Use your offense in every way it's built. I know Todd Monken's going to come out there with a lot of special, build-in packages. You're going to see a lot of quarterback run builds in. Play it as it is. Play it as it is. 3 yards, 4 yards every single play. Dominate, control, keep Mahomes on the sideline. Touchdowns, not field goals, will win. Even though you have the best kicker in the league, touchdowns will beat the Chiefs, not field goals. That's a storyline no matter what you're seeing. I think this crowd's going to be nasty loud. I can't compare it to Arrowhead. Arrowhead's always in a weird environment and a great fan base, and they get loud there. But the Baltimore fans will stand up. They will do it proud. The Ravens will go to the Super Bowl. They will take care of business. They are going to win 34-21. Baltimore's going to head on to Vegas. We're going to see another Harbaugh potentially playing for a championship.
So, ladies and gentlemen, Fresh will be on the sidelines in his purple crop top being a cheerleader for the Ravens there. Holy smokes there, Freshly. I don't know what in the world. Maybe we're just seeing two different totally things here. Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs is working on slowly becoming this generation's dynasty. We've said the same things about Mahomes right now that we were saying very early on in the New England dynasty. Everyone was always looking for that moment, that kink in the armor, saying, oh, Brady and the Patriots, they don't have it. Belichick is past his prime. And at the end of the run, yeah, they got there to it, but that's because Brady had gotten there up there in age, and it wasn't just the same team. Some other teams had really caught up to them. But early on in the Patriot run, this was kind of something similar that we saw. We saw a team like Kansas City, they go kind of coast through the regular season, and then when they get to the playoffs, they flip a switch. Look what they did to Miami. Miami was one of the top scoring offenses. They go into Arrowhead. They completely shut down. I get it. Arctic game, what have you. You've gone on the road first time, hostile environment, go in there and really do put the boots to Buffalo. The game was close throughout there, but again, you forced Buffalo to make those mistakes. Kansas City is that team that you're going to have to squash them out. Like it's not going to be an easy go for the Ravens in this. It's not going to be one of the things where the Ravens are just going to flex their muscle and then all of a sudden the Chiefs are going to go, ooh, big bad Edgar Allan Poe Ravens here going on. I got 3 mascots instead of 1. What the heck is going on the sidelines there? I got questions about Baltimore mascot Ravens later on, but we'll get to that. This is the type where as you said, if you let Mahomes have an opportunity, he's never going to get you out of the game. Travis Kelce's never going to let Kansas City be out of a game. Yes, Baltimore may win this football game. It may be true, but it's going to take a just absolute domination effort from the Ravens. And the fact that you're talking about an opportunity where the spread in this game is 3.5. You're picking a double-digit win. I can't tell you when the last time I saw like something as good as this come into play. I don't see what you're seeing at all. Take a look at how well Pacheco's played throughout the playoffs there. He did struggle a little bit more in that Buffalo game as well, but he's run very, very hard in every single game that I've seen him play. I've been impressed with George Kalifas, playing opposite of Chris Jones. I think that's starting to open up quite a bit more for him. I know this isn't the star-studded receiver class that Mahomes is used to. Rashid Rice is coming into his own nicely, but I think there's still work to do, but I'm never discounting Travis Kelce in the football game. As for Baltimore, they're a very, very good team. I still don't feel like they are an elite team. My problem is CJ Stroud never got sacked once last week. That vaunted pass rush of the Ravens never got back. What?
They scored 3 points. They scored 3 points against CJ Stroud and Texans. You have to beat Mahomes. Again, I like what CJ Stroud did. Very happy for the young man. But you got to be out your damn mind to think that he is in the same class as Patrick Mahomes right now. Good kid. Bright future. Like him. Nice job for the Ravens. Not in Mahomes' class yet. I need to see more out of the defense. They need to get to Mahomes at least 3 or 4 times. Mahomes, the best way that they're going to do it, they got to get pass rush up the middle of that
offensive line. Mahomes is too shifty to, if you give him an opportunity to step up, he can't, like Allen, he's not as prolific as a runner as Josh Allen or Lamar, but he does have the ability there. You have to get that pressure right there in his face. That's going to be the way that you're going to beat them. On offense, it is going to come down to Lamar, what he's going to do. Is he going to be able to still complete 72% of his passes? Is Baltimore going to be able to get 100 yards rushing out of him? If they're not able to run the ball with Lamar in this game, let's say he's carried the ball 6 times in the first half and he's got 10 yards, 12 yards in this as well. Are you going to get that rushing attack from Gus Edwards or Justice Hill? Are you going to be able to get that stuff from them? And then, while I like OBJ, I like Zay Flowers, Rashad Bateman's had a nice playoff so far. He had a nice game last week. You got Likely, the tight end. He spread the ball around. But in this game, to beat a team like Kansas City, one of those wide receivers has got to have a day. And I mean, he's got to step up. We need 9 to 10 catches out of him, 100-plus yards. I don't know if that's going to be OBJ. I don't know if that's going to be Zay Flowers. I don't know who it's going to be. I don't trust them to do all of those things that are necessary to beat a budding dynasty. And let's call it for what it is. You don't get play in how many AFC Championship games in a row? You don't play in how many Super Bowls over the last 5 years to get to this point? This is a dynasty. This is a dynasty that's building there in Kansas City. They get past the Ravens here. Guess what? It's proving that you can never doubt Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs in the playoffs. There's no way I'm picking Baltimore in this game. And the reason being is I don't trust the wide receiver group. I like the defense enough, but I don't trust the wide receiver group. I'm nervous that they're going to put everything on Lamar. But here's my problem with it. Until I see a team not in the AFC knock out Kansas City, I'm not picking against them.
That's fair. I mean, I got to ask, is this a little bit of the Cleveland Browns anti-Ravens little twist in there as well?
I mean, again, I have no love for the dirty rat birds. They have wings, but I will say this. If I felt like they're the better team, I've always been able to, how many times I hate Dabo Swinney and how many times have I picked Clemson to win?
All right. Yeah, okay. You picked them to beat, some teams. I'll give you that.
Right. So I'm going with Kansas City just because, again, I'll say 27-21. I don't think it's going to be a blowout. I think it is going to be a late score in the game. Kansas City pulls away, but it is because Baltimore lets Mahomes hang around in this game.
I think it'll be a fantastic affair on Sunday afternoon either way, though.
Yeah, I'm planning on going 0 for 2 this weekend, though, so we'll see how it all works out. All right, Fresh, let's go to the NFC side of the game because I'm already going to make my pick very easily on this one. It is the Detroit Lions. They're traveling to San Francisco to play the 49ers. At time of record, the spread of this game is 7 points, touchdown game. Over-under is set at 50.5. That's a lot of points for a couple of teams that have pretty good defenses here. Fresh, I'll give it to you, man. What do you got between Lions and 49ers?
This is going to be a ball game. You have a very electric Lions offense versus a very, very stout 49er defense, especially in the red zone. As you saw versus the Packers, Packers were able to drive on them, but they shut them down in the red zone, forcing field goals and stops. So that's going to be the big primary matchup that way. And then how does Brock Purdy, potentially with or without Deebo, Samuel, against that flexible Lions defense, who hasn't exactly been dominant, but they've been able to get off the field and make some plays. Those are the two different scenarios really here. How does Brock Purdy show up? Last year in the playoffs, obviously, had one good game, didn't do much versus the Cowboys, got hurt and did not play very often versus the Eagles, didn't look fantastic versus the Packers. Could he, if he struggles in this ball game and costs them a chance to go to the Super Bowl, his time in San Francisco becomes very limited and his contract allows him to become very expendable. And that raises questions for the 49ers in the offseason. This is actually a big game for Brock Purdy. How does he show up and get the job done? Christian McCaffrey, you've got to be able to show up and have a big game. George Kittle, got to have a show up and have a big game. Brandon Ayuk, you didn't have many catches, you didn't have that many plays versus the Packers. Where are you going to be at this week? Where's this 49er offense going to be able to show up and take advantage? If they come out and lay a dud or don't have a great game, this puts the game at risk versus that Lions offense who has shown the ability to move the football. Jared Goff is the more experienced quarterback in this matchup. This is gonna be. That's why I think this is gonna be very explosive, and a lot of things can happen, and a lot of things are open for explosive plays. Where's this 49er defense? Where's that pass rush? Where's that linebacker? Warner and Greenlaw had amazing games last week. The secondary still wasn't exactly 100% lockdown versus Jordan Love and the Packers. The linebacking core in that front seven, they were the ones who were dominant. How do they set the tone against the Lions' offensive line in a tight end game and get after Goff and shut down that running game? Because if Montgomery and Gibbs are going, opens up play action, gives Goff time, and they will attack that 49er secondary. And then eventually it'll be score for score and has Brock Purdy and that 49er offense catch up. McCaffrey, big moment for you. Time for you to show up. You're getting paid a lot of money. This is the kind of game you're here for. Obviously, last year's championship game versus the Eagles was a little different. A lot of injuries. Things are in and out. You really can't compare the two. But you've got to show up in this game at home and get the job done versus the Lions. If the Lions beat you and they go to the Super Bowl, what do we make of this 49er era? Really, what does it say? It's sort of like they got there with Garoppolo in 19, didn't go in 20, didn't go in 21. Last year, they had a failed opportunity versus the Eagles. And if they fail this year, it just becomes a great regular season team. And they don't have that way to finish and get to the Super Bowl and actually win a championship. Lions, you've had an amazing run, feeding off the energy. I think you're actually still a little irritated about the whole missed call about the player reporting versus the Cowboys. And that motivation has kept this team going. They came out and they played a great game versus the Rams. They played a great game, a resilient game versus the Bucs. Here they are. They're playing with house money. We talked about the Packers and Texans playing with house money last week. Lions are playing with house money right now. Nobody expected them to be playing for an NFC Championship. They hadn't done it in decades. Here they are going out of San Francisco against a team that's been dominant all year for the most part. Take advantage of it. Play loose. Get after it. Goff. Go throw some passes. Go down. Check. Test the field. Amon St. Brown. Go push it. Jamison Williams. You have your speed for the play action. I expect him to be involved in a couple big plays in this ball game and really challenging that 49er secondary. Let it all hang out. Goff, you've been to a Super Bowl. You understand the pressure of playing in the big game. This road game, you were a Ram before. You've been here to Santa Clara. You understand the environment. Go out there and attack it. You have Gibbs. You have Montgomery. Keep that 1-2 punch going. Use the tight end game. You just signed Ertz. You have obviously Ertz now and Laporta. The weapons are there. The offense is there. Keep playing at a high level and go get it done. Don't be scared of that front seven. It's amazing front seven for the 49ers. Don't be scared about it. Do not be intimidated about it. Just play your game. You've beaten good teams before. If you show up and you play your ball game, you have a chance in the football game as well. 49ers, Brock Purdy, you got to show up, son. You got to make some plays. Because if the running game is sort of hampered or it's big late game situations, you need to be able to make a throw. You need to step up and make the things happen because versus the Ravens, the last big game at home before the playoffs, you were abysmal. This is your chance. If you don't show up, your career in the NFL might be over faster than you think. How does Kyle Shanahan and this offense develop and get him comfortable early on to make some throws to really put some points on the board? Kittle had a big game versus the Packers. I expect him to be more involved as the focal point. And as Purdy goes, it's Purdy being successful if Kittle and McCaffrey are successful, and then Dabo and Ayuk sort of build out from there. But the two of those guys have got to be focal points. If the Lions can get away with shutting down the run or taking out Kittle, it's going to put a lot of stress on Purdy to make a decision in the pocket. And he hasn't been that great down the stretch. I expect this game to be a full four-quarter fight. In the end, I trust the 49ers defense in the red zone more than the Lions. I think the 49ers win 31-27. They escape the Lions. The Lions put up a heck of a battle, but the 49ers defense is just too good and they're too locked in late in this football game. They pull out a victory and get themselves to Vegas to play the Super Bowl.
Fresh, San Francisco's a cool place. I've visited a few times before. I've enjoyed my time over there in San Francisco. Golden Gate Bridge. Napa Valley is fantastic with all wine country and everything like that. Alcatraz, the prison, awesome. The wharf, really cool. Great clam chowder down there. Even the baseball stadium, and I'll give them a free plug here, the 21st Amendment Brewery down there in downtown San Francisco. Fantastic brewery there as well. And if they would like to sponsor the show, hit me up in the DMs. Christian McCaffrey's good at football, man. There's no other way to say it. He's absolutely amazing. George Kittle is a beast. He's one of the most, outside of Travis Kelce, I'd say like one of the most unique football players in the NFL. And Brock Purdy, like the story he has had coming out of Iowa State, we talked about him in the first year of our college football podcast. And every time we talked about Iowa State, how great Brock Purdy was. And we were really shocked that he lasted that long in the draft. We didn't expect him to go Mr. Irrelevant. The thing that they've built in San Francisco is just truly remarkable. And you take a look at what San Francisco has. You have, Silicon Valley right over there. You have all Yahoo and Google and all of those companies, Facebook, and it costs a lot of money to live in San Francisco. And I get it because it's just a nice area to live in. I know that there's probably, just like every city, that there's bad parts of it. And then you talk about this defense. It's unfair that you have the two Ohio State boys in Chase Young and Nick Bosa and everything else that you're able to do, and Kinlaw and Armstead and all this stuff. Like, this defense is completely unfair and should be like completely dominant. And that, I paused for a second because they didn't completely dominate the Packers. And the Packers really did have a shot at winning that football game. And I really thought that they were going to win that football game. And then there's Detroit fresh. As you guys have listened, you guys know I'm from the greater Cleveland area, and I've been to Detroit quite a few times. If you're ever driving towards Detroit, in Toledo, Ohio, Tony Paco's hot dogs, highly recommended, talked about on MASH. And going across the bridge to Windsor. But there's something about Detroit fresh, is that Detroit's experienced hard times. And I don't think San Francisco knows what hard times are. Hard times are when the textile workers around this country are out of work. They got 4 or 5 kids fresh, and they can't pay their wages and can't buy their food. Hard times are when the auto workers are out of work, and they tell them to go home. Fresh, in Detroit, hard times are when a man has worked a job for 30 years. 30 years fresh. They give him a watch, kick him in the butt, and they say, hey, a computer took your job, daddy. That's hard times. And when you're from Detroit, when you're from those areas, you know what hard times are. And I make sure that I quote the American dream, Dusty Rhodes, baby. Because fresh, we're going to get funky like a monkey on this one. Jared Goff playing out of his mind. It's his time. You're from the Southern California area. You went to college out there at Cal. It's time for you to go back there, get a win over in San Francisco. Jamar Gibbs, I was wrong about you. I question why you were a first-round pick. You've played well. St. Brown, great job out of you. Jamison Williams, I'm waiting to see more. Hopefully you're going to show out here. Sam Laporta, the Iowa kid. What does Iowa do? They play defense and they produce great tight ends. You see all of these things here fresh, of all of the things that are out there. David Montgomery, the cast off from the Bears, doing everything he can do. And Dan Campbell, he's not the pretty boy. He ain't like 45-page slides of why you should leave the Cleveland Browns, Kyle Shanahan type of guy. And yes, fresh, Kyle Shanahan gave a long PowerPoint presentation on why he should leave the Cleveland Browns after a year. But you got Dan Campbell. Dan Campbell is a man like you and me, fresh. He's a man. He's tough. That defense is playing. Right, he will bite your kneecap. Bite your ankle, bite your kneecap, and probably take out a quadricep. You got a guy like Aiden Hutchinson who's playing out of his mind over there, even though he is a Michigan dude. You got everything that's going on with this Detroit Lions team. And fresh, from day one, I have told you guys that I am a firm believer in the Treaty of Lake Erie. The Treaty of Lake Erie is for Browns, Bills, and Lions fans. As long as we're not playing with each other, we root for the other team. And you know what? In NFL history, fresh, there are 4 teams that have never made it to the Super Bowl. The Cleveland Browns, the Jacksonville Jaguars, the Houston Texans, and the Detroit Lions. After Sunday, we're down to 3 teams that have never made the Super Bowl fresh. The Detroit Lions are going to the Super Bowl. Jared Goff is going into San Francisco. He's going into Silicon Valley. He said, I'll show you your wine. We ain't wine drinkers in Detroit. We know what hard times are. We're going to give the 49ers some hard times. And up yours, Kyle Shanahan. 45-page PowerPoint slides, whatever, getting out of Cleveland. I don't mind. I really don't mind the 49ers. They're a good football team. But I got the Lions winning this game fresh. I'm going Lions in upset. Late field goal wins them the football game. Lions kick their way off to Las Vegas.
If the Lions make the Super Bowl, do you think the city of Vegas is standing after that cohort of individuals invades and strolls down the strip?
I mean, yeah, for the most part. I mean, if the Lions win the Super Bowl, I don't know if all of Vegas, maybe Fremont Street might be gone, which would be disappointing because I like Fremont Street. But I don't think like the strip would be gone. I mean, they might burn down Circus Circus.
I can see Treasure Island Circus can get taken out.
And I mean, really, are we hurting anybody?
It's probably part of the plan to have them taken out just out of a disaster. Yeah,
probably.
But it would be good people watching if that happened, because that would be absolutely just amazing.
Free bulldozing. There you go. We want to build a new hotel there. We're going to send Midwestern fans who have never made it to the Super Bowl onto your city.
In the middle of winter.
Right. And I'll say this. If it was me as a Browns fan, I'd just find a couch to burn outside. That's usually like the going rate, like burn furniture of some sort. Even though it's illegal in most of the state provinces. Do not burn furniture, folks. This is not, I am joking. Maybe need to put that out there just so no one's like, they told me to burn furniture. I don't know. Fresh, but Lions are winning that game. I'm excited for them.
So I have Ravens, Niners. You have Chiefs, Lions. Rematch of Week 1, Thursday night opener. So it'll be pretty exciting. We'll see what happens.
Right. I love it. Listen, like I told you guys, I'm fully planning on going 0-2 this weekend. This is why I am not betting on football or anything like that, because I'm firmly ready to go 0-2 this weekend. But you guys have been listening to another episode of the Irrational Confidence Podcast. Make sure you tune in, hit that subscribe button, hit the notification bell, because if I go 0-2, who knows? Maybe you guys don't even want to listen to me. But listen to Fresh, because it means he went 2-0 going into the Super Bowl. Make sure you're visiting SpinnableSports.com, because the Irrational Confidence Podcast is part of Spinnable Sports. Special thanks to our producer, Drew. Without him, none of this is possible, so I want to send a shout-out his way. Subscribe to the podcast wherever you get your podcast from. Follow us on social medias. Leave us that 5-star review, because you guys know, Fresh and I, we're those 5-star prospects. I'm getting better at this. My throat's cleared up. I'm no longer fighting the never-ending cold, so I'm able to do this at a much faster rate. Guys, we got a lot of stuff coming your way. Even though football season is slowly crawling to the end of the season, we're almost to the Super Bowl, and that's the official end of the football season. But this podcast, we don't have an off season. We keep rolling along. We'll move to March Madness, college basketball, maybe throw some college football back at you. We got a lot of things to talk about in the world of college football that we kind of been putting off. And the blend between the NFL and the college, our annual mock draft episode. Join us with all of our other people that join in the episode. It's a fun one to be a part of. Interact with us. Talk to us in the comments. That's it. We wanted to only go about 25 minutes in this episode. We're already over a half hour. So, Fresh, I'll let you finish it off here. And
everybody, enjoy the last couple football games of the year. Engage with us on every platform you possibly can. We want to talk to you here, how great we are here, how bad we are. Tune in, get ready for all the stuff coming in the spring. And with that, bye, y'all.